I got my heart broken when the actor I had a crush on for 10 years announced he had kids. Since I couldn't get him, I thought about going after his super popular brother. After a wild night, I woke up to a mess of clothes on the floor and snuck out in a hurry. Later, rumors spread that I secretly got married and had a kid. I had to tell everyone the dad wasn't in the picture. On the first day of my new show, the superstar brother showed up too. When asked why he was there, he smirked at me and said, "I heard someone was spreading rumors about my death, so I thought I'd clear things up." Later that night, while putting on a face mask, I saw a trending topic pop up on a social media app. The actor Frank had a baby. The internet exploded, and he was in the top 3 trending topics. I was shocked and doubtful but ultimately felt a motherly sense of joy. But then, I buried my face in a pillow and screamed. The man I'd crushed on for a decade had a kid with another woman. I realized I experienced heartbreak before I even had a chance to fall in love. My heart was aching, but I could only hold back tears and wish him well. I called my closest friends, sending voice messages, and they all cried with me. "Let's go, ladies, let's celebrate our collective heartbreak." I dropped an address in the group chat. I'm a third-tier celebrity, not too well known, so I dressed up and went out to party. In the private room, we laughed and cried like crazy people. I downed a drink and declared, "Get it together, ladies. We can't get the actor, so let's go after his buddy. Isn't Jack single?" My friend chimed in, "Who knows, he might also be secretly married with kids. We can just ask." 3 years ago, I worked on a project with the superstar Jack, where I played a girl who loved him in vain. We exchanged Instagram handles back then. Quickly, I found him and messaged him directly. "Hey, your buddy's got a kid now. You should at least have 2. I have an idea, and with it, you could have 2 kids in 3 years. Wanna hear it? Vivian, have you lost it? Take it back before Jack sees it and thinks you're nuts." Ding. I smiled, too late now, let's see what his reply is. He sent back a question mark. "Ha. I told you he'd think you're crazy." I refused to believe it. "What makes me crazy?" I continued, "Let me teach you." "No, wait, let me have baby number 2 with you." "Vivian?" I was surprised he remembered who I was. At least I'm still charming. But I felt queasy from too much drink. I went to the restroom to wash my face and took a breather by the wall. Just then, Jack came out of the men's room, phone in hand. Black suit, black shirt to match, no jacket. From the waist down, it was all legs. A carefully crafted face, for sure. On impulse, I smiled and approached him. "Jack?" He paused, raised an eyebrow a little. "Vivian? How much have you had to drink?" Like that mattered? Hearing footsteps approach, I pulled him into the ladies' restroom and locked the door. There was a split second when Jack's indifferent gaze faltered. He opened his mouth, but I clapped a hand over it. Off balance, I leaned half my body against him, and he kindly supported my waist, lifting me up almost effortlessly. The alcohol mixing in my system, I felt a faint warmth grow in my chest. "Want to have a kid with me?" Jack's expression was unreadable. "Here? That probably won't work. What about at a hotel? You book it." With that, he pushed me away, straightened his crumpled shirt, and said coldly, "Give me the phone. I'll call someone to take you home. But I want you to take me." An hour later, I found myself thrown onto a hotel bed, a brief dizziness hitting me before I struggled upright, catching a glimpse of Jack moving into the bathroom. Soon, the sound of water running came from inside. The door opened, and I almost fell in, Jack steadying me. "Why are you standing by the door?" I couldn't help but glance down. His shirt was soaked, perfectly showing off well-toned abs. I smiled. "You really know how to be tempting." Jack stared at me, eyes dark. "Vivian, with just the 2 of us here, are you sure I'm not going to do anything to you?" With that, I stood on my tiptoes, grabbed his shirt in both hands, and kissed him. "Like this?" Jack's gaze turned intense, like ink spilling over his eyes. His hand curled, teeth clenched. Vivian, are you not into it? The next day, I woke up flabbergasted. I really went there with Jack. What did I do? Of all things, drinking more always leads me to no blackouts but memories, vivid as day. The more I remembered, the more I wanted to disappear. Thinking about Jack's cold expression the whole time, I guessed he wasn't too happy either. While he wasn't around, I grabbed my phone and called my agent to come get me. In the car, my agent looked at my wild bedhead and pinched her nose bridge. Don't tell me you. Last night. I nodded. She inhaled sharply. Did you really mess with Jack? No way, right? He was terrible, it hurt like crazy. My agent was floored. Vivian, you're my hero. I canceled all my schedules and nervously hid at home for a week. Jack didn't reach out. Another week passed, still no word from him. Like that night was just a dream. In the adult world, unspoken agreements don't need words. I sighed in relief and took on a historical rom-com role as the leading lady. This show adopted a daring shoot-and-air method, and rumors about me and the leading man were flying high even before we started filming, creating plenty of buzz. If it turns out great, my pay should see a rise. While packing, I heard the door. Not many people know my place besides my parents, close friends, and my agent. When I opened it, I was shocked. Jack. What was he doing here? Reflexes had me trying to shut the door, but with one long stride, he got in before me. Standing over 6 feet, Jack looking down at me was intimidating. His face brought back R-rated visions in my mind, leaving me unreasonably irritated. Why the surprise visit? What if someone sees you? Avoiding me? Where did he get that idea? Weren't we both on the same page about not contacting each other? Vivian, I'll take responsibility for that night. Alarmed, I waved my hands. No need, no need. Meeting his increasingly stormy gaze made me change my tune quickly. Don't worry, I won't say a word about it. If there are pictures or something, I'll fully cooperate with your PR team. How's that? Jack didn't respond. His usually expressionless face was visibly stormy. This is all my fault. After all, having this kind of stuff get out could be a career-ending blow for him. It's only natural he's upset. I sincerely bowed 3 times to him. I'm really sorry. I drank too much that night. It was a big mistake on my part, but you weren't drunk. If we're really counting, you share a little bit of the responsibility too, don't you think? At that moment, my phone rang. I went to the bedroom to answer it. My agent was already waiting downstairs. As I was leaving, I saw Jack flipping through a notebook. When I realized what was in it, my face changed. I quickly grabbed it and my tone turned cold. It's not polite to invade someone's privacy, you know. It was my diary, full of musings on my painful secret crush on Frank. After he went public about his child, I was planning to destroy it to avoid any misunderstandings if someone accidentally came across it. But there it was on the table, and Jack saw it first. Jack chuckled bitterly. So, you like my brother? And you're flirting with me? He acted like I was some kind of heartless woman. But that's not how it is, right? Wasn't it mutual between us? Given how well we know each other, I didn't expect this reaction from him. If you weren't into it, you could have pushed me away, but you didn't. And now you're blaming me? He looked like someone who had been abandoned. Okay, fine, it's my fault. I'm a terrible person. After a moment's hesitation, I reluctantly pulled out a bank card and handed it over carefully. All my savings are in here, about 500,000. See if that's enough. If not. Vivian. Jack laughed sarcastically, his eyes turning red. How could I ever have thought? You have no heart. With that, he turned away and left. Because of Jack, I couldn't concentrate even after joining the crew. During a break, I thought it over and decided to message him. I'm sorry. Jack didn't reply. I kept messaging. Name your price for compensation, and if it's within my power, I'll make it happen. The chat showed him typing, and I watched intently for 10 whole minutes, but Jack didn't send a single word. Jack, are you there? A red exclamation mark. I got blocked. Well, that's that. An error coming to an end is just as well. I filmed for 3 months and got a stomach sickness towards the end. My agent hesitated before speaking. Vivian, did you use protection that night? I looked up at him, puzzled, and shook my head. My agent looked at me with disappointment. Can't you tell? Maybe you should ask him. How could I ask that? It'd make me seem crazy, and Jack already blocked me. Later that night, my agent discreetly bought me a pregnancy test. When I came out of the bathroom and saw 2 lines, I panicked. Oh no. I either go to the hospital or get married, gotta decide. I decided on the first option. My whole situation with Jack started off as a mistake. I was not going to let it continue further. But I was swamped with work and couldn't get away till the filming wrapped up. There weren't many scenes left anyway. But, as luck would have it, things went sideways. Once filming was over and I was ready to go to the hospital, mudslides cut off the road. I waited for the rain to stop for a week, and then the repairs took another week. When I finally got out, I had to attend non-stop events, and with the drama gaining traction, my fan base and resources grew more than I'd imagined. And with all the attention, I couldn't avoid being watched. As soon as I reached the hospital, paparazzi caught me lingering outside the gynecology department, scaring me into switching to a gastroenterology appointment immediately. With the constant back and forths, by the time I made time, it was too late. I had a son. Maybe it was just me, but he seemed to have Jack's eyes. My mom was peeling an apple beside me, not looking pleased. So you went ahead and had this kid without me even knowing who my son-in-law is? And with such a big kid, aren't you afraid the paparazzi will find out? Mom's words were like magic. I gave birth in the morning, and by night, news was everywhere. Rumors about my secret marriage and child circulated wildly, and all the actors I worked with were under the microscope. Simon, the male lead from my last drama, was the prime suspect. He tweeted, tagging me. Help me clear my name, I'm not the dad, but I'll be the stepdad if needed. I quickly posted a note, making up a story about the kid's dad being gone. After posting, anxiety set in. Did he see it? I nervously checked Facebook and was shocked to see my trending status replaced by news of Jack's romance with some mysterious woman. I couldn't exactly describe how I felt. Just empty. Maybe this piece was for the best. 3 months later, at the kickoff ceremony for my new drama, I saw Jack. The director mentioned a special guest star, and there he was. His suit was perfectly tailored, showing off his silhouette. The sunlight danced in his eyes, making him shine. In the whole room, his presence was unmatched. Everyone was eager to greet him. My heart tightened, and I extended a polite hand. Mr. Jack. Jack looked at me. He was calm and composed, while I was a mess. Seconds dragged. Just as I thought he'd keep silent, he released my hand and nodded, hello. My palm turned cold, making my heart race. Mr. Jack, I heard from your manager that you had a scheduling conflict and weren't planning on coming. What changed your mind to accept this role? The director asked. Eager to hear his answer, I listened intently. Out of nowhere, Jack glanced my way, a lazy smile stretching across his face. Heard a rumor I was dead and just came by to set the record straight. Could he be talking about me? Nervously, I avoided his gaze. Luckily, no one linked Jack to me. After the kickoff ceremony, Jack offered to treat the investors and director to a meal, and naturally, the main cast tagged along. When the waiter clumsily spilled soup on my dress, I excused myself to the restroom to clean up. Returning, I found the room empty. Well, except for one person, Jack. Where did everyone go? I asked, squaring my shoulders. Jack looked down at his phone, heard me, and glanced at me with an unreadable expression. You talking to me? It's just the two of us here, who else would I be asking? I left. I was grabbing my bag to leave when I heard Jack's mocking laugh. Vivian, you not gonna explain yourself? I knew he'd bring up the kid. Forgot to mention, after the paparazzi caught me at the hospital, he reached out more than once, subtly asking if I was pregnant. I didn't admit it. I even squatted right there to show him nothing was up. Then he left the country to film, and we didn't talk anymore. I thought about the trending topic of him kissing some woman late at night. At dinner earlier, the director joked about how Frank had secretly married and had kids. Surely you're a bit anxious too? Jack lit a cigarette, chuckling nonchalantly. Soon. I wanted to stay out of it. No need to get cursed at or battle over custody. What if he decides I can't see the kid later? Explain what? I chuckled like I'd heard a funny joke. Jack, don't tell me you thought that kid was yours. Jack's eyes darkened. Isn't it? Are you overestimating yourself? Think one time is all it takes? Jack fell silent, just staring at me. I couldn't handle his intense gaze. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving. I practically bolted out of there. Vivian. I was reaching for the doorknob when he called me. Turning around, I saw Jack standing still, his eyes blazing like fire yet empty. Who's the father? Where was I supposed to fabricate a whole baby daddy from? John Doe. I dashed home. I just wished Jack would wrap up his filming soon and leave. Seeing him makes me breathless. Luck wasn't on my side, he invested in the film on day 2. So now he's not just a cameo but an investor. Today we had a kissing scene lined up. I brushed my teeth thoroughly, used mouth spray, made sure I was fresh, and headed to the set. Signaled an okay to the director and noticed Jack, who had been sitting, now stood next to the director, fixated on us. That look was like I had somehow betrayed him. His presence was overwhelming, hands damp with sweat, the adrenaline kept me out of character. Right as the male lead got close, the director yelled, "Cut! Vivian, you're off. This is your lover, not an enemy, try again. Vivian, does he owe you money? Vivian, did he kill your whole family?" After 5 takes, the director was irritated. What's going on, Vivian? You're not new, why are you stiff in a kissing scene like that? Sorry, director, I'll fix it. Take a break, Jack said calmly. 10-minute break, the director added. In the bathroom, I splashed cold water on my hands, taking a deep breath. My manager came in. Vivian, is Jack being here affecting you? Not really. Just then, Jack walked past. To my surprise, he didn't head to use the restroom. Instead, he grabbed my wrist. Jack, what are you doing? My manager was startled. Teaching her how to film a kissing scene. Watch the door if you want privacy. Jack dragged me into a stall, closing the door behind us. Before I could say anything, he leaned in. After what felt like forever, he rested his forehead against mine. Did you get it? Realizing what he said, my face turned crimson. What's wrong with you? If you've got medicine, I'll take it. I tried to leave but was pulled back again. You haven't learned enough, let me show you again, free of charge. Now I was really mad. Taking advantage of a moment, I kicked him hard in the nether regions. His face turned, I pinned him against the door. Teach your girlfriend, jerk. Girlfriend? A quick flash of confusion flickered in Jack's eyes. Even in pain, he didn't let go of me. Vivian, is that what you think of me? The dramatic cough of my manager broke the tension. Someone was coming. We were in the men's restroom, every movement audible. I stayed still, nestled against Jack, not daring to move. Once the sound faded, I started to walk out when he remarked, "Your lipstick's ruined." Exiting, my manager stared me down for a good 10 seconds, whispering, "Vivian, does Jack like you?" I stumbled, nearly losing my balance. recalling what Jack whispered as we exited. Don't kiss others in front of me. The closest we'd been was that one drunken night. He couldn't possibly be into me after that, right? He probably just didn't like feeling toyed with. Jack walked out behind me, talked with the director, and when we resumed shooting, the director decided to delay the kissing scene and move to the next one. The day's shooting went smoothly. Since it was a modern setting, we filmed on the streets and headed back to the hotel afterward. After a shower, I put on a face mask and reviewed lines. My manager chimed in, Jack sent legal papers. Oh, I replied, celebrities often resorted to legal routes, nothing unusual to me. He sued those who spread rumors of him kissing a woman at night. I paused, feeling something unusual tug at me. Vivian, are you really not gonna tell Jack you have a son together? I don't know, I'm all over the place. Later, my mom video called. I watched my son, already asleep, kiss the screen. Mommy's coming to see you the day after tomorrow. I'm free then with a break to rest. Vivian, Frank's parents are visiting, you know their son Frank, the big actor, right? He'll be there, too, you should meet them, maybe get some new projects. Oh, right. I've known Frank since we were kids, we grew up in the same neighborhood. Sophomore year, when I got my first period, I was terrified. He wrapped his jacket around my waist, bought me pads, and even wrote instructions on the bag. I've kept that note to this day. That's when I developed a crush on him. Unfortunately, my dad got a job transfer that year. I moved back home to finish high school. We reunited when I graduated college, during his campus tour. Frank had become a big-time actor by then, untouchable. I couldn't face him and he seemed to have forgotten his childhood playmate. Now, I don't have those feelings for him. Mom, I have plans the day after tomorrow. Nonsense, I asked your manager. You're off. You won't tell me who your son's dad is. At least join me for dinner. I dreaded my mom nagging. She could talk all the way from my grade school to college. The next day, Jack showed up again at filming. I have no idea what big-time celebs like him do all day. Are they just lounging around with nothing to do? During lunch, Jack ordered takeout and bubble tea for everyone in the crew. I weirdly noticed that it was all my favorite stuff. During the break, my agent came over and said, Vivian, Jack wants to have dinner with you tomorrow. I told them to just make something up, like say I'm getting hemorrhoid surgery, I don't care. Then I heard a deep voice from my phone speaker. I know a good place for that. Want me to recommend one? I looked at my agent in surprise. The agent shrugged as if to say, you left the phone on. That's on you. Jack was on the line. Then there was just a busy signal. Great, pissed him off. Anyway, I didn't think much of it. But for the rest of the afternoon, Jack seemed down and didn't say a word. People kept guessing, thinking maybe Aunt Flo was visiting. The next day, I followed my mom's directions to the meeting place. It was a private estate, hardly anyone around. In the private room, I didn't see my parents or Frank's. Just Frank and a woman next to him, each with a kid. One of them was my son. I was dreaming of my son marrying into a famous family when a voice came from behind me, done with that hemorrhoid surgery? I jumped. Jack was behind me, hands in pockets. Frank and his wife noticed us. Frank said, you made it, have a seat. Hi, I'm Joan. I've seen your TV work, it's really good. Oh, the parents are out picking fruit, so left the kids with me, she said, then turned to the kids. Mommy's here, want to go to her? I reached for my son, but Jack took him first. Vivian, your son's adorable. Mind if I hold him for a bit? Could I even say no? Frank teased from the side, like kids that much? Have one of your own. It wouldn't be a bad idea. Maybe it was in my head, but Jack's look seemed extra meaningful as it landed on me. Jack is usually laid back, doesn't care much. But now, holding the baby, he seemed a bit nervous. Frank teased him about his hold, didn't we go over this? You forgot already? Like this. So there it was, an award-winning actor and a top celeb, one teaching, the other learning. I stood awkwardly by. Joan whispered to me, "Don't worry, Jack's got experience with my daughter. He won't drop your kid." I forced a smile. Am I worried about him dropping the kid? More like I'm worried he'll catch on and try to take my son. Vivian, if it weren't for this gathering, I'd never have connected you, the little girl, to the star you are now. My family moved early on, and even in our circle, not everyone knows each other. I only recently found out you're the older sibling from back then. Jack chuckled, clearly caught me lying. Gotta keep calm. Don't remember me, huh? Then Jack, you remember him, right? I was taken aback, looking at Frank. Jack. I don't recall. Was he at our school? Vivian forgets the little people, normal. Jack lazily chimed in, same demeanor, yet I felt some wistfulness from him. Jack was pretty famous then. I thought you'd remember him, Frank said. In my head, I thought, all my focus was on you. I was too preoccupied to notice other guys. When Frank talked about the old days, I finally remembered that Jack was that guy who hung out with Frank. Oh, I remember now, your delinquent friend. Joan chuckled. Jack, what did you do to have her think of you that way? I was embarrassed, spoke too quickly. Sorry, didn't mean it like that. It's just, back in school, Jack, you weren't very good. Compared to Frank, you were such a troublemaker, always messing with me. I always avoided you. Jack drawled, is that so? Kind of like the high school Jack again. I'd head home, he'd follow. I'd try to run, then find him at the next corner, unable to shake him off. Sometimes when I'd play in the yard with Frank, he'd tug my braids until they were a mess, then clumsily try to fix them. Or after class, he'd block my way, nonchalantly asking to borrow my homework. How could it be him? He wasn't even Jack back then. I didn't say anything. Luckily, Jack handed my son back, and I quickly moved away. After feeding my son, Frank and Joan left, and Jack had slipped out somewhere, too. I sighed in relief, thinking I'd find my parents. The door creaked open, and Jack stepped back in. Talking to him was awkward. Where did Frank and Joan go? I tried to make conversation. Jack glanced over lazily, he got married. Sensing the undertone, I snapped, I know he's married, I'm not stupid. Then why look for him? I was just making small talk, okay? Like asking if you'd eaten today. I gave up trying to argue and stormed out. Vivian. He called after me, don't you think your son looks a bit like me? You must be seeing things. Lots of kids look alike. Doesn't mean they're all yours. Not necessarily. After all, you're the only one I've been with. Not skipping a beat, I lied, well, too bad, you're not the only one I've been with. He swooped in for a kiss, holding me tight, don't shake. Hold on. My heart raced, seeing he meant to kiss again, I panicked, can't I claim he's mine alone? Sure, but I'm really curious. Maybe you should show me how. Jerk. No worries. We'll know after the DNA test. I shot him a look. 5 I know, right? I didn't expect him to take the kid for so long. There's no hiding it now. Whether it's status in the entertainment industry or anything else, I can't compare to him. As he was about to leave, I quickly called out to him. Jack, did you know about this all along? Were you messing with me on purpose? Mess with you? Jack's face turned cold. Vivian, you've got to be honest. I had to find out I had a son through someone else. Who's messing with whom here? The baby woke up and started crying. Jack picked him up, and his previously stern face softened. Before long, he soothed the baby back to sleep. I stood quietly to the side, suddenly realizing I shouldn't have hidden the existence of his child from him. Jack, He gestured for me to be quiet, and I got the hint, following him outside. Weren't you going to say something? I didn't tell you before because I thought you were getting married. Later, I didn't tell you because I was afraid you'd fight me for custody. As I trailed off, my voice got quieter. Jack had pulled out a cigarette but didn't light it. Vivian, have you ever thought? Thought about what? Nothing. He wouldn't say anything more. Should we do a parenting schedule? You take Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I take Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday? I suggested. And then the media finds out, puts us in the spotlight as having a child out of wedlock? That seems like it won't work. We can't just get married, can we? If you want to, then let's do it. Why is it me wanting to get married now? Are you still into Frank? No. Then if there's no new love or old flame, what's the problem with getting married? Or do you want our child to start off in an incomplete family? When I called my agent, she was shocked for a full 3 minutes. Vivian, didn't you say Jack was too lousy, and you didn't like him? What changed your mind? Cough. I glanced at Jack standing nearby. He didn't react, probably didn't hear. Well, just work with his studio on this. After hanging up, I met Jack's teasing gaze. So don't hold on to me so tight. What was supposed to be just a get-together with friends turned into Jack meeting my parents. Jack's parents had long passed, so Uncle Frank and Aunt Frank stood witness. During dinner, it was like my mom didn't have a daughter, only a son-in-law. Given our unique situation, we decided to just get the marriage license first and deal with the ceremony later. The next day, I didn't have any filming until the afternoon, so bright and early, Jack and I went to the marriage office. We got our license. Coming out, I felt dazed. Is this real? Did I actually get married? In the van, I sneaked a peek at the red marriage book, flipping it open. In the photo, Jack and I were so close. I knew he was handsome, but hadn't really paid attention before. Now I was noticing, and he just seemed better looking the more I looked. Seen enough, Mrs. Jack? He suddenly asked, surprising me. I looked at him, amused. I'm right here, take a good look if you want. The driver was laughing. Both our agents were too. My face heated up, but I forced myself to be defiant. I'm just checking out the photo editing skills. Satisfied? It's all right. Jack didn't say anything. I glanced at him, he seemed in pretty good spirits. Jack, we need to head to the airport. You going on a trip? Yeah, going abroad for a magazine shoot. Be back in about a week. The driver will take you to the villa. I'm fine staying at my place. I said it but realized it might sound off. If we're doing this, might as well do it right. I'll wait till you get back. Going there alone would feel weird. Okay. That night, Jack posted a photo on his account. It was from the day he was holding Frank's daughter and he captioned it, "Suddenly, having a kid doesn't seem so bad." Fans went wild. He's anxious, he wants to get married. Jack, thinking about tying the knot. Dude, I've got a kid, you can be the dad. Wake up people, how much did you drink? Jack responded to the marriage comment, considering it. I liked it on Facebook. This was our plan all along. Paparazzi would definitely catch me liking it. After a few days of buzz, we'd respond, and then it would be much easier to announce the marriage and baby news. Fans would accept it more easily. After logging off Facebook, I noticed someone messaged me on Instagram. When I checked, it was Jack. He added me back and sent me his schedule. Not knowing what to say, I snapped a picture of our son and sent it. 3 seconds later, Jack transferred $30,000 with the note, for formula. I hesitated 3 seconds before calling him. He picked up instantly. In the video, Jack had just showered, wearing a loosely tied robe, showing off toned abs. I blushed, forgetting everything I planned to say. Still up? Yeah, but I paused, suddenly seeing Jack's agent in a robe, hair down, appearing in the background. Like I'd stumbled on some secret affair, I quickly ended the call and shut down my phone, my hands shaking. I couldn't rationalize why I was so scared to face it. Even if it was messy, shouldn't it be Jack who's messy? In the following days, Jack messaged me daily, sending a list of gifts he'd bought. I responded selectively, not very enthused. Seeing this, he started contacting me less. One day, I finished my makeup, when my agent rushed out of the study, handing me a tablet. No idea which company did this, but they snapped photos of you and Frank at the estate, and only released the photos of you and Frank. It's all over Facebook. Taking the tablet, I saw headlines. New star Vivian suspected of being the other woman in Frank's marriage, Frank's alleged love child, Vivian dating Frank. Agencies dropped us left and right. I was being trashed all over the internet. Vivian, maybe talk to Jack and release the marriage license photo? It'll clear your name. Alright. I called Jack. He didn't pick up. Tried again, and he hung up. What's his problem? Not giving up, my agent kept trying Jack, then his agent, but still no answer. Should we just release it ourselves? We agreed to announce eventually, and this scandal will ruin you. Do it. I posted a wedding photo on my personal Facebook, and my agency reposted. But the internet wasn't buying it. Oh my God, she actually had the audacity to go after Jack. Honestly, Jack never looks this dramatic in his movies. I tagged Jack for you, no need to thank me. An hour went by without a peep from Jack, seemed like I was performing a one-man show. Is Vivian trying to force Jack into marriage over a scandal? Didn't expect Jack to ignore her completely. That's awkward. Where's Jack? Something this big and he's MIA? His agent freaked out. It's happening. Frank, the Oscar-winning actor, has responded. Congrats. They even shared my wedding photos with Jack, and Joan posted a picture of all of us dining at the villa that day. Don't get swayed by rumors, Vivian never crashed our wedding plans. Opinions online were split. Some say Frank and his wife were just covering up for me, others think Jack and I might actually be legit. I was up all night. As dawn broke, my agent suggested, a bunch of reporters and fans are downstairs. Maybe wait for Jack to get back before heading to the office? I glanced at my phone, he hadn't returned a single call since I turned it on last night. Let's go. Gotta face the music, hiding won't fix things. Downstairs, reporters swarmed me. Ms. Vivian, why'd you and Jack get married? Shotgun wedding? Ms. Vivian, there's a rumor that your son is actually Frank's, and marrying Jack was just a distraction, is that true? Sorry, no questions. My agent shielded me into the van, faces pressed against the window, suffocating. I closed my eyes and told my agent, draft up a divorce agreement, okay? Halfway there, Jack finally called. I saw it and declined. He called again. I declined again. When I didn't pick up, he messaged on Instagram. I'm sorry, my fault, let's meet and talk. Vivian, please reply. I can explain, and I've already clarified with the media. I'm sorry. Jack posted on Facebook, clearing up our relationship. My agent showed me the tablet. A wedding pic, alongside one of me at the marriage registry. The caption was simple, the kid and the person are both mine. Was Jack caught up in something? Maybe ask him? No need. I'm not even sure if it's his sudden disappearance that bothers me or spotting his manager casually with him in that video. Some things once you notice, just snowball. Would someone marry another woman to protect someone? Sure, that happened with that popular actor to protect his girlfriend outside the industry. The actress took the fall like a champ. At the office, I had my agent print out the divorce papers and sat alone in the lounge. So much has happened, I hadn't realized my feelings for Jack changed. Massaging my temples, I heard a knock. Come in. It was Jack, he looked worn out, forehead glistening. Vivian, let's talk. He noticed the divorce papers on the table, his voice cooled. Jack picked them up, his expression darkening. What's this about? The marriage was just procedure. Now that it's done, let's divorce. Vivian, what do you take me for? What do you take marriage for? And you? What do you take me for? What do you take marriage for? Anyone can spit out harsh words. If you didn't want this, why agree to marry? I was gonna ask you the same thing. We were yelling so loud, my agent rushed in to calm us down. Jack, Vivian, just cool off. She sat me on the sofa, speaking to Jack. Jack, Vivian's mad for a reason. Last night was huge, we called you and your manager so many times. My phone wasn't ringing? Jack looked incredulous. I scoffed. Next Oscar, it's all yours. Vivian means you acted really well. After my agent's comment, realizing it came off more sarcastic, she shot me a look to zip it. Jack stepped out, made a call, then returned, asking my agent, could we have the room? I need to talk to Vivian alone. All right. Once alone, I kept it casual. Hey, go on. Vivian, I have no intentions of divorcing. Well, I do. My phone buzzed before I finished the sentence. It was my mom. Vivian, come home quick, reporters found out where we live. Your dad and I can't leave the house. We're fine, but what about the kid? They're all over the place. I'm heading back now. Take my car, Jack offered. He drove smoothly to my parents' neighborhood. Reporters were everywhere. Charging right in was a bust. I'll distract them, you get the kid down and wait for me in the car, Jack planned. He got out. When I didn't move, he leaned in. Got it? I caught my breath, nodding, staying put as Jack drew attention. I got the kid, got in the car, and while trying to reach my agent, my phone was snagged. Where can you go now? Jack asked once back in the car. Reporters are now aware of him. Glancing in the rearview mirror, our eyes met and he smirked. Buckle up. With a swift brake tap, he eased us into traffic. Up on the highway out of town, we reached a villa tucked in the hills, and the car slid into the garage. Jack opened my door. Take the kid from my arms. Come on, why freeze there? Trailing him inside, I found a spacious villa with a welcoming feel. Kids' toys scattered around, along with women's clothes that seemed fresh from delivery, yet to be opened. Jack set the kid in a crib, saying, the cook isn't here, I'll have some groceries delivered. Rest for now. He then hit the balcony for a call. Wanting to ask for baby formula, I found some stocked in the kitchen. That's the one he always eats. Everything's new thermos, bottles, all of it. Turns out, he had it ready early on. I don't really know how I feel. I made formula, he drank it and fell asleep, so I put him on the sofa, grabbed a throw pillow to block the edge, and headed to the balcony. Jack had just finished a call. Where can I sleep? Baby's out cold. I'll carry him up. I followed Jack into the room. He put baby into the crib. I caught a glimpse of his neatly hung clothes in the wardrobe. It must be his bedroom. If you have time, hang up your clothes. If not, tell the housekeeper to sort them. Jack, His phone rang. I stayed quiet. I hadn't slept all night. I dozed off on the sofa. When I woke, it was dusk, and I was in Jack's bed, under a blanket. The crib nearby was empty. I jumped up, washed my face in the bathroom, and found a set of unopened skincare products there. When I got downstairs, the housekeeper was bottle-feeding baby. She smiled at me. Ma'am, you're up. Hungry? Where's Jack? Outside. I can call him for you. No need. As I stepped outside, a warm breeze carried the faint scent of plants. Out in the garden, Jack was sitting on a chair with his agent. I remembered a scene from a video, feeling a dull pain in my chest. Jack, she's not right for you. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but it mattered to me. I couldn't help it. Frank said, you have someone you've always liked, right? That's why you've never married. But now you go for Vivian. If she's okay, why am I not? Annie. Jack's voice was icy. The tip of his cigarette glowed red. Know your place. Ma'am, your coat. The unexpected voice made Jack and his agent look over, spotting me not far away. Our eyes locked. Jack's gaze was so straightforward, I couldn't handle it. You guys carry on, I said, heading back in. About 10 minutes later, Jack came inside. Vivian, can we talk? I nodded, and the housekeeper took baby upstairs. The day you called, I had an accident. I was in the hospital, my phone wasn't with me, so I couldn't answer. An accident. I looked up quickly, realizing why he looked so pale when we met again. Were you hurt? Where? Is it serious? Jack chuckled softly, so you do care. He lifted his pant leg, showing some bruises and scrapes. Did you take care of these? I'll get the first aid kit. I felt a deep heartache, as if an invisible hand was twisting me apart. As I stood, he wrapped his arms around my waist. Jack hugged me from behind, his chin on my shoulder. Vivian, I'm sorry. His voice was thick with emotion, and he squeezed me tighter. I didn't ignore your calls on purpose. I didn't leave you to face things alone. I came back as soon as I woke up abroad. I asked my agent, it was her who didn't answer your calls. I'll replace her. She's here today to apologize. Will you forgive her? Jack, do you like me? His breath hitched behind me, and he slowly loosened his hold. He turned me to face him. Vivian, is it so hard to see that I like you? Forget it, Jack said. Are you still mad? I bit my lip. That day we video called, she was in a bathrobe, in the frame. When did that happen? Are you denying it? Luckily, I'm smart enough to screenshot. I showed him my phone, and Jack took a moment, then said, if I told you she came in herself that day, would you believe me? Jack explained they had work that day and his agent had just dropped his stuff in his room and left. He didn't check if the door was locked and went to shower. He was on the call with me when Annie came into his room. I hung up, and he noticed and sent her away immediately. Later, he tried calling me back but couldn't get through. Oh, that means you don't believe me? I believe. Not wanting to argue, I went to find the first aid kit. Jack had lots of scratches on his foot, some even bleeding. Once I bandaged them, I asked, anywhere else? It's fine. I can manage. Let me help. He studied me. All right, to the room, then. Why would we need the room to put on ointment? Do you expect me to take my pants off here? I shoved the kit at him, a bit speechless. He took it upstairs. Annie was still in the garden. Seeing me come out, she sneered, you don't have to pretend. I've been with Jack for 5 years, and there's no way you can compare. So, the rumors with Frank, was it you who tipped off the paparazzi? I had to consider, since only family was at the show where the photos were taken. Someone must have leaked them. So what if it was? Vivian, you're not worthy of Jack. Even if you married him, do you know? Jack said someone he's loved since he was a kid. Otherwise, why wouldn't he marry all these years? With you, it's just a sense of duty. Everyone has a past, right? At least I had his child, I replied. And if you're so important to him, he would have chosen you by now. And if you really cared about him, you wouldn't risk ruining him with a scandal. Is that love? Annie's face turned pale. When I went in, Jack was already dressed and downstairs. Our sudden ease with each other left me unsure how to interact with him. I'll check on him. Aren't you hungry? No. As I said that, my stomach growled loudly. My face flushed with embarrassment. What do you want to eat? You can cook. Jack glanced at me, not responding. I followed him into the kitchen and watched as he expertly washed rice, cleaned vegetables, and started cooking. Watching a focused man is truly a sight to behold. My parents passed away when I was young, so I had to learn these things early on, just haven't done them much over the years. I remember you had this name back then, right? Jack lifted his eyelids to look at me, not too seriously. It's amazing that Jack still remembers my old name. I felt my face heat up because of what he said. I do remember, it's just don't like me? Jack jumped in, sounding indifferent, like he didn't care at all. Why did you change your name? My grandma got a master to do a reading for me and said the name wasn't good, too frivolous, so it was changed. So don't blame me for not recognizing you. I didn't know you changed your name. Besides, I wasn't even familiar with Frank, so how could I know it was you? Not familiar with Frank, yet writing about him daily in your diary? I found out Jack was really busy. Even when injured, he always had work to do. I got up in the middle of the night for water and found him sitting on the couch, a computer in front of him. His face looked a bit pale, hair messily falling over his forehead, no cup of water in sight. I went to the kitchen, poured him some hot water, and put it by his hand. It's 4 a.m., are you planning to stay up till sunrise? Annie just left, I haven't found a new manager yet. The others aren't familiar with the routine, and I don't trust just anyone with it. I can do it. Back before I had a manager, I handled all the processes myself. Get familiar with it and you can manage. You get some sleep first. Jack looked at me but didn't move. You don't think I'll mess this up for you, do you? Thanks. I planned the next 3 days, checked the schedules, and got it organized. I have to admit, while Annie wasn't the best person, she was good at her job. The workload was heavy but orderly. I yawned and caught a glimpse of Jack on the couch. I don't know when he fell asleep beside me, eyelashes casting a soft shadow. I took a blanket to cover him when he suddenly opened his eyes and grabbed my hand. He looked wary, then relaxed when he saw it was me. Did I wake you? No. Just sleep some more, it's about to be dawn. Jack didn't speak or let go of me. My back was sore, and just when I was about to say something, he suddenly pulled me down. Before I could land on him, we smoothly switched places. He kissed me. Vivian. He called my name over and over. It felt like a current running from my limbs to my heart. I mumbled, "What are you doing?" "Don't like Frank, okay?" I could see cautiousness in his eyes. "Actually, I'm not worse than Frank. I did pretty well in school too." He laughed to himself, "Never mind." He helped me up, wiped my lips, and straightened the clothes he had wrinkled. My heart was pounding. I haven't liked Frank for a long time. Jack's eyes lit up, giving me a serious look. "Really?" "Yeah." When it came to being honest, I found it hard to say. I couldn't even figure out when I started liking Jack. I'm not the kind of person who would settle with someone for the sake of kids. After saying this, I made a quick escape but got pulled back by Jack. "What are you trying to say?" "Let me go." "I will if you say it." When words failed, actions proved themselves. When I kissed him, Jack froze, and the next second, I regretted it. He was like a dog. By 3 in the afternoon, when I got up, Jack was already at the company. After eating, I moved my stuff into the master bedroom. While cleaning up, a photograph fell out of a drawer. It was a portrait from my high school days. It had been kept well despite the years. Why did Jack keep it? A very clear thought emerged, although it seemed a bit absurd. After much thought, I called Frank. "Mr. Frank, I wanted to ask if Jack liked a girl when he was in school." He didn't tell you?" I held my breath, unable to figure out how to feel. "No. He's been hiding it well, hasn't he?" "Since we're on this topic, let me tell you something else. Remember when I lent you my jacket in high school and went to the store to buy you pads?" "I remember. The jacket was Jack's, he was the one who bought the things for you, and later, the hot tea was from him too. He said if you knew it was from him, you wouldn't accept it. And another thing, didn't you nearly get taken advantage of in the entertainment industry when you first entered?" "Yeah. When I first got in, I didn't know anything. I heard there was a role for me, so I naively went to a dinner party. It was only after drinking that I realized the person had bad intentions. I hit him, thinking I'd be blacklisted. Then I found out the director had been sent to jail for harassment. He helped. The person who sent you home was from his company. Things like this happened a lot, you'll find out if you ask. He's single-minded, like a fool, waiting for the person he likes. After I hung up, I called my mom, asked her to quick deliver a tin box from my study. My mom thought something was wrong. Inside the box were old notes. With them, I went into Jack's study and compared the handwriting. Though stronger now, it was clearly the same. My emotions surged like my heart had a rabbit, pounding away. I had a crush on Frank for years over something small. But little did I know, someone was quietly doing so much for me behind the scenes. Fool. How was I supposed to know if nobody told me? I remembered a saying, if a boy always picks on a girl, chances are he likes her. In hindsight, there were quite a few coincidences with Jack over the years. At events, he'd politely help me with my high heels and make sure I got size-appropriate flats later so my feet wouldn't be in pain. And when I was shivering from the AC, he made sure all the actresses got blankets. There was also that time when we were filming, it seemed like the lunch box I got had been ordered to my taste. Everything was a traceable sign. How many coincidences could there really be? Someone must have done it deliberately. How could anyone be so silly? Actually, it wasn't like I hadn't noticed him. How should I put it? Frank is polite and respectful to everyone. He's a bit different, somewhat aloof, and has his own moods, which gives people an unapproachable vibe. I've watched his TV shows and heard him sing on stage before. A high mountain flower is untouchable. I wouldn't dare have any other thoughts. I cooked a few dishes and took them to his work. Sis-in-law, what brings you here? Jack is out shooting an ad. Want me to call him? No need, I'll just wait. An hour later, Jack returned to the office. The moment he saw me, he looked a bit surprised. What are you doing here? Brought you some food. I opened the food container. Last time, you seemed to really like ribs, so I made you some. I tried them myself, they taste pretty good. You cooked for me? Yeah, is it so strange for me to cook for my husband? Jack paused, holding the spoon, his expression deep as he looked at me. Feeling a bit embarrassed from his gaze, I kept drinking water to hide my nerves. Jack, I'll treat you right and love you well. He took my water cup and gave me a kiss, his eyes slightly red. Say it again. I guess you didn't hear it. He held on to me, not letting go. I recorded it. Blushing, I got flustered. How could you be like this? Promise to tell me tonight, and I'll delete it. Okay. I picked up his phone, but there was no recording. He tricked me. Instead, I saw a picture of me. I got choked up. Jack, did I ever tell you how I started liking Frank? He frowned, looking a bit cold. I don't want to know. You do want to know, I insisted. Because there was someone who lent me clothes and bought me things when I was in an awkward spot. At that age, I thought, wow, he's so nice. When I walked home at night, he'd always follow behind, so I thought I'd marry him when I grew up. Vivian, Jack's voice was hoarse. Actually, that person was you, right? I looked up. Jack, you're such a coward. You figured it out? Jack pulled me into a hug. Back then, you really disliked me. Later on, we didn't have much contact, and when we met again, you didn't seem to remember me at all. In this industry, I was worried it'd cause you trouble. I'll tell you everything from now on, okay? Deal. The next day, Jack posted on Facebook. All my thoughts are with the stars.